Hey everyone, what is happening? My name is Callum Hopkins and I want to welcome you to the 168 hour challenge. First of all, I want to thank you very much for checking out this video. This is going to be the first in an ongoing challenge documentation on the 168 hour challenge. Just in case anybody's wondering who I am a design developer from Scotland who is trying to improve his skills through pastime. So very nice to have you to join me in this. I appreciate that. So let's just get started with this. First off, what I'm showing you right here is my own personal blog. It's at callumhopkins.com. Check up here if you need any help on the spelling, although it's just my name is written there just with .com but minus the UN. You can also add the UN if you want, it still works as well. Enough rambling about that. So the reason why I'm showing the blog is this is where you're going to find everything on the 168 hour challenge. So if you're interested in following this, keep up to date what's happening. I recommend you guys come back here quite often. I can't tell you right now how often it's going to be, but it's going to be every few days, hopefully. Maybe every 3 or 4, but I'm looking for at least a regular pattern of multiple updates per week. So what is the 168 hour challenge? It's a challenge which I've kind of put together with an aim to expand some areas of my skills as a developer designer that I feel are a little bit lacking. Areas such as time management, such as working under pressure, and shipping is a massive weakness. I always just want to hold applications back until I feel they're ready, and naturally they never are. This all came about because I have multiple side projects, just like many other people, that never ever see the light of day, and they're all just sitting on my laptop. So the point of this is to help push some stuff out and to get some feedback in the open. And that's really much it. There's not much of a strict outline for the challenge. It really is just to challenge myself. And what I encourage the people, if anybody's interested, as they hear more about this, is just to, if you're going to take on this challenge, give yourself something that's really going to push yourself, that's really going to test the areas that you feel that are weak. Don't be afraid to fail, is one of the big messages, is that this is going to open you up to all types of failure, but don't worry, it's like falling off the kids' playpen or play area when you're younger. It's always in a kind of controlled environment. It's not like you're going to lose your job by doing this side project, or I hope you don't. But the likelihood is you're probably not going to. And what I hope is by doing it, by letting your peers see, you might actually get a little bit more respect for improving yourself rather than staying stale. But that's part of my personal hopes as well from this. So in terms of rules, there's not a lot of rules for it, but there is some. The big rule is the 160 hours time limit. So that time limit is set by anything that you have to work on to improve the project or further the project gets billed to a 168 hour budget. Once you get to the 168 hours, you have to ship. End of. No excuses. You can't go over it by a minute or a couple of seconds. There may be some leeway if it is a couple of seconds, but please be strict with yourself, as I'm going to be strict with myself, that I'm going to be aware when that 168 hour point is, and I'm going to ensure that I don't go a second over if I can help it, as much as I can. If I do go over, I pretty much will be angry with myself, because it's like the only golden rule in this. The other slight rules don't need to be fully applied, but I will be applying them, and I encourage you to apply them as well, is everything that you do will go into some form of open source hosting, such as GitHub. Open yourself up to community feedback and community investigation, and try and use, or I will be using, a lot of open source projects where I can to help incorporate where people have already explored areas rather than do everything myself, trying to incorporate some of the wonderful things that you find on open source. So that's really much it in terms of the general rules. Specific rules, I'm going to be tailoring some of the wider kind of general rules just to fit in with the project that I'm working on, or in kind of an environment that kind of suits best. So I will explain my rules, but before I do, I will say that you can apply these rules. You don't have to apply these rules, but the point of these specific rules that I'm adding to this project, and probably for the project as well, is that it just adds a little bit more better expectation for it. So rather than tumbling over my words trying to go around what I'm trying to say, I'll go through the rules. First rule is that all planning in terms of what the app is and what it does, not in a design sense, but more as an actual just specking, that will not be built to the 168 hours. It's very important, I believe, for this challenge is that you have a clear goal when you start, you know what you're doing. So there's no point of saying to yourself, I'm going to sit down for 20 hours and plan this out and work out exactly what I want to make sure I get it in the 168 hours, and you've lost 20 hours doing that. That doesn't sound right for me anyway when I think about it. So I'll give myself maybe about 3 or 4 hours to plan it out, but that's going to be non-built at 168. The other rule that I'm adding is that domain shopping and domain research, that's not going to be built at 160 hours either. So because that can be a big pain in the backside to try and work out what domains that you want, especially if you're going to put something live, you want people to access it, to give you feedback, you need to get that down pretty well. So that's the 2 rules that I have. Everything else, design, research, testing the code, set up environments, they're all going to be built. So they're the only 2 things that are excluded out of that. What I'm also going to be doing is I'm also going to be documenting this. I think this is a fairly new thing. Maybe not doing a challenge within 160 hours, but I think essentially doing it inside of tech and doing an app in that time area. Not a record breaker by any sense. I'm not trying to convey that, but this can be applied to any type of projects that you have. So I'm going to document this, see how it is, do an assessment at the end of the documentation and see, was it good, was the time good, was it realistic, where did I make mistakes, and assess myself. And I'm going to open it up to you guys on the internet to give me some feedback and let me know how I did, let me know what you think, and maybe tweak some of the aspects of this challenge for going forward. So I'm going to be blogging about it. I'm going to be doing these video screencasts. I will warn you, this is the first ever time I've done video screencast recording of myself or anything like this. So be warned, there will be amateur moments. Probably weird things will be said, and maybe apologise later on. So it's probably going to happen. But I think that's it so far now for an introduction. Before I move on to the next bit, I will say I have a rough idea for an application, which I'll explain later on, but I haven't gone into depth yet. So there'll be another video probably after this whole introduction phase of what the app will be, because there's going to be certain aspects which are going to influence what features and what aspects of that will happen. So yeah, I think that's it for now, guys. So I'm going to move on to the next bit, and I hope you join me there. Okay, everyone, say hello to constraints cards. Constraints cards are a little tool that a good friend of mine, Steve Milne, created. They're used to add unforeseen new varieties into your side projects, and allow you to try out things that you wouldn't have done beforehand. They cost $25, which off the top of my head for conversion I think is about £18 or something like that. If I'm wrong, sorry, I can't do currency conversion off the top of my head, but I recommend you go get them. They're great at adding little bits of flair into your project that you never would have thought about doing. You can get them from constraints.co. I'll be showing you that web address later on, so don't worry if you can't remember it right now, but definitely worth getting a pack of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the basics of basics, is that you just shuffle the deck and you pick the top 3 off the pile and you apply them into your project. I shuffled this deck already, so what we're going to do is we're just going to select the top 3 cards and see what we have got. So here we go. First one is 1 page. Good start. There's some really tricky ones in there. That one fits in with some of the initial ideas I've got floating in my head, which I'll explain probably after this section. So that's good so far. The second one is no words on homepage. Wow, that's tricky. I think that could be one of the hardest cards in terms of practicality in the entire deck. So yeah, that's really throwing some challenges there. Okay, third one is instant response. Okay, that's okay. That's a good one there. So we've got our 3 cards here. There are 3 constraint cards. Now, what you can do is you can interpret these in any way that you see fit. And there is the constraints website, which gives you some hints, which I may show you later on. I have some interpretations for these that I'm thinking of, but I'll need to give these a little thought. So this I'm kind of happy with these. They're challenging, especially the no words on homepage. I think instant response and one page definitely ease up a little bit, but man, that's definitely a massive challenge that I've got with no words on homepage. So the next part is just to have a quick round up and have a little talk about the tech, which is I've set out for this. So yeah, join me in the next bit where we'll talk about some of the tech that's going to be used in this upcoming challenge. So guys, let's have a quick look at a quick review of what happened there. So constraints cards, I don't know whether they were being nice to me or whether they were being mean or not, but let's just go through them. Let's start with the big one, the no words on homepage. It's going to be a trick. Just to kind of fill these in actually, what I got on my screen right now is the constraints.co website. Steve has very cleverly put together a little section that houses the same card number that appears on the bottom right hand corner of every constraint card, and it's a good way to share what cards you put out the deck, and Steve has kindly put a little bit of text here that gives his insights on what he interprets the cards to be when he put it together. So for this one, he is suggesting iconography, photography and illustration. One thing I thought about while I was just switching back to the laptop was video. Video is a very effective way, a modern way, a popular way to have on the homepage to inform people of what's going on. I know places like PayPal have used it quite a lot on their new designs. New Relic as well have it, so I'm thinking about that. One problem with that is though the time constraint that we have, it's going to take a while to render any videos I do, let alone shoot them. So yeah, that's going to have to be thought about when it comes to the initial design and mock-up bits. But you know, it's going to be a challenge. I hope it's going to be fun. Definitely something I wouldn't do outside of the constraint cards. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, that one. The other one, instant response. Instant response. It's something that is becoming more and more popular in web apps. So yeah, I think that one has helped me out a little bit because that was something that I was going to be doing anyway, or something I would probably try and implement. That's good for me. Maybe not so challenging, but I think with the big challenge of no words on the homepage, this may pull things back into a bit of a realistic environment. And I think the same can be said about the one-page card. As I'll explain in a second, the tech that I'm planning on using will incorporate one-page apps naturally. So without further ado, the tech. Mean.io is what I'm looking at. I've done a little bit of development with this as side projects, but not a huge amount. So I really want to get my teeth into Node, especially in the Mean full stack. I've done some stuff with AngularJS before, so I want to flex those muscles a little bit. We've got something running it in production, running Angular. So I kind of want to get better with that. That was kind of the first production launched app that used Angular, so I'd still have quite a bit to learn on it before I'd say I'm fluent. And MongoDB, I'd spent most of my time in MySQL, so NoSQL is going to be good. I think it's going to be powerful for expanding applications or rapidly expanding applications, so it's good to learn. So this is pretty much it for an intro. Right, the next step's probably going to be me outlining what the project's going to be, and then just cracking on with some of the mock-ups and the layouts. So I'm going to leave it here for just now. Thanks very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you found this challenging at all, interesting from the initial bits that I've talked about, feel free to hit me up on my site, just callumhopkins.com. If you want to ask any questions, you want to say you're taking part, that would be great to hear back from you. But for now, please, if you enjoy this, share it out. Hit to all the subscribes, please. It'd be great to track who's interested in watching this. And yeah, thanks very much, guys. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.